It was a bright spring morning when Emily woke up to the sound of birds chirping outside her apartment window. She lived in a cozy one-bedroom in the heart of the city, surrounded by the hustle and bustle she'd grown to love. At 25, Emily had built a comfortable life for herself as a freelance graphic designer, juggling her passion for art with the freedom of remote work. She had a loving boyfriend, Ryan, whom she'd been dating for 3 years, and a best friend, Sophia, who had been her anchor since childhood. Emily often thought of Ryan and Sophia as her pillars of support. Ryan's steady and caring nature balanced her creative but sometimes chaotic personality. Sophia, on the other hand, was her mirror, her confidant, a sister in everything but blood. They'd grown up together, navigating school, heartbreaks, and dreams of adulthood side by side. Emily felt like she had it all: love, friendship, and a sense of purpose. But life, as she would soon discover, had a way of shattering the things we hold dear. It started with small things, barely noticeable at first. Ryan had always been attentive, but lately he seemed distracted. He'd stare at his phone longer than usual, laughing at texts he wouldn't share. He'd started coming home late, citing extra hours at work that never seemed to end. Sophia, too, had grown distant. The weekly brunches they once religiously attended had turned into sporadic texts and vague promises to catch up. Emily chalked it up to the usual drift of adult friendships, but a gnawing unease crept into her heart. One evening, as Emily and Ryan watched a movie together, his phone buzzed. She caught a glimpse of the screen. A message from Sophia. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw the preview. "Can't wait to see you again." "Who's that?" Emily asked, her voice as casual as she could manage. Ryan quickly locked his phone. "Oh, just work stuff," he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Emily's mind raced. She wanted to trust Ryan, and Sophia, but the message lingered in her thoughts. Over the next few weeks, she became hyper-aware of their interactions. She noticed how Ryan's mood lightened whenever Sophia's name came up, and how Sophia avoided making eye contact when they were all together. One night, Emily decided to confide in her older sister, Mia. "Do you think I'm being paranoid?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. Mia hesitated. "It's not paranoid to trust your instincts. Just be careful, Em. People aren't always who we think they are." Determined to clear the air, Emily planned a casual dinner at her apartment and invited both Ryan and Sophia. She spent hours preparing their favorite dishes, hoping the shared meal would ease her growing fears. But the dinner was anything but comfortable. Sophia seemed jittery, glancing at Ryan more often than usual. Ryan, meanwhile, fumbled over his words, avoiding Emily's gaze. "Is everything okay?" Emily finally asked, breaking the tense silence. "Of course," Ryan said too quickly. Sophia nodded, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Emily felt her stomach churn. Later that night, as Ryan showered, Emily's curiosity got the better of her. She picked up his phone, her hands trembling as she unlocked it with the passcode she'd known for years. Her heart sank as she scrolled through a thread of messages with Sophia. Texts filled with flirtation, plans to meet in secret, and photos Emily wished she could unsee. When Ryan emerged from the bathroom, Emily was waiting for him, the phone in her hand. "How could you?" she whispered, tears streaming down her face. Ryan froze, his face pale. "Emily, I can explain—" "Don't," she snapped, her voice rising. "Don't you dare lie to me anymore." The next day, Emily called Sophia, desperate for answers, but Sophia's response was far from what she expected. "I'm sorry you found out this way," Sophia said, her tone flat. "Sorry I found out?" Emily repeated, her voice breaking. "You were my best friend, Sophia. How could you do this to me?" "It wasn't supposed to happen," Sophia said. "But I have feelings for him, Em, and he has feelings for me." Emily felt like the ground had been ripped out from under her. "You don't deserve my forgiveness," she said, her voice cold. The weeks that followed were the darkest Emily had ever known. She cut off all contact with Ryan and Sophia, but their betrayal haunted her. Nights were sleepless, and days felt like an endless fog. In desperation, Emily sought therapy, Her therapist encouraged her to channel her emotions into her art. Slowly, Emily began painting again, creating pieces that reflected her pain and resilience. Her work caught the attention of a local gallery owner, who offered to showcase her art in an upcoming exhibit. Meanwhile, Sophia's social media posts hinted at her relationship with Ryan. Friends reached out to Emily, some offering support, others probing for details. Emily chose to stay silent, letting her actions speak louder than words. Months later, Sophia sent Emily a long email, apologizing for her actions and asking for forgiveness. "I know I've lost your trust," Sophia wrote, "but I hope one day we can be friends again." Emily read the email, her emotions a mix of anger and pity. She replied simply, "I'm glad you've reflected on your choices, but I've moved on. I wish you well, but our friendship is over." Emily's art exhibit was a resounding success. She met new people who valued her for who she was, and she began dating again, this time with a clearer sense of self-worth. Though the scars of betrayal remained, Emily found strength in her journey of healing. As she stood in her studio one evening, surrounded by her paintings, Emily realized she was finally at peace. The betrayal had broken her, but it had also rebuilt her into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. "I deserve better," she whispered to herself, and for the first time in months, she truly believed it.